Ladies and gentlemen, the New Orleans Saints have found a steal in the NFL draft, and we did not feel this way about this guy just a few months ago. The Saints just finished their preseason matchup against the Houston Texans. There are some players who balled out and some people who have struggled, and now we got a little clearer picture of what the 53-man roster may look like. Remember to like and subscribe for more NFL content. The biggest story in the game right off the top was Jimmy Graham playing in this preseason game. Many of us scratched our heads when we saw Jimmy Graham out there. Could it mean that he's on the outs? Could it mean that he could possibly be cut? But no, this guy absolutely balled out, and he actually caught his first touchdown reception as a Saint since 2014 when he was receiving the rock from Drew Brees, but this time it was from famous Jameis Winston. And it was good to see all these positive plays from Jimmy Graham, especially after that negative news when he was arrested by the police. You saw TMZ Sports reporting on it. They were claiming the guy was under the influence of a controlled substance. It turned out he had a medical issue, quite possibly an epileptic issue. But now that I see him making clutch contested catches in preseason, I think he's going to be fine in the regular season. And this just adds another weapon for the Saints in the red zone. They already have a plethora of wide receivers and tight ends. You're talking about Foster Moreau, the former Raider, who seems like he's just going to be as productive as he has been with the Vegas Raiders, where he's been clutch in the red zone. And then you got Juwan Johnson. This guy could have a breakout year. The former wide receiver converted to tight end. He's been making plays all of training camp, and many people have been thinking that this guy could be like Darren Waller for Derek Carr again. And if that was not enough tight ends for you, you have Jimmy Graham on top of that. And even though he's not a young buck anymore, he's plenty athletic and has that veteran experience. The Saints primarily played their backups in this game on offense and defense, but the Houston Texans were playing their starters. They're a new team with a brand new head coach, brand new rookie quarterback. And it was so crazy to see the Saints defense dominate CJ Stroud and his starting offense. And really, the Texans did not get going until the Saints started playing their third string defenders. But you had Bryan Bresee, the first round pick out of Clemson, who I expect to play more this year. We're going to talk about him in particular. He was balling out. But another starter who was basically with the second team defense for the Saints was cornerback Alontae Taylor. I do believe Paulson Adebo is going to start over him, but it's going to be a combination when you have that sub defense of Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Alontae Taylor. Perhaps Bradley Roby could be in the mix, but you had this guy making some amazing plays in the passing game against CJ Stroud and some of his starting wide receivers, even a great pass breakup on Robert Woods, who's accomplished a lot as a wide receiver in his career. And one guy who I am freaking rooting for like crazy did not have his best game, and that is none other than quarterback Jake Haener. Man, I love this guy coming out of Fresno State, my hometown. Love the relationship he has with Derek Carr. I thought it was freaking fantastic in the Chargers preseason week 2 game, but this game he definitely took a step back. And if people were wondering, oh, is Jameis Winston going to be QB number 2 or is it going to be Jake Haener? I think it was settled this past week that obviously Jameis Winston, with all his veteran experience, is QB number 2. And Jake Haener is going to have to be a developmental prospect. I don't think everything was his fault in this past preseason game. He was under an immense amount of pressure the entire time. And the one thing that he did display was toughness. The dude was getting rocked and still slinging the rock. But the problem was Jake Haener was targeting the tight end Kroll a little too much, and it became a little predictable, and it led to 2 interceptions on the day. He wasn't always pressured when he had some of these errant throws, but I think the hits in the beginning of the game started to stack up and got to him. I still do believe this guy could be a fantastic QB in the NFL, despite the fact that he has a little bit of Bryce Young size, but honestly, he's a little bigger than Bryce Young. And I anticipate that the Saints will keep him as QB3 and have him be that emergency QB that you're allowed to have on the roster this year. But the big thing to get excited about is this defensive line. Yes, it's Cam Jordan, Granderson, and a lot of new guys. You have Kalen Saunders and also Shepard at defensive tackle, but I think Bryan Bresee, the first round pick who everybody slept on, is going to get his reps. Him and Isaiah Foskey, the second round pick edge defender, absolutely destroyed the Houston Texans. You see Foskey coming in here at the top of the screen, making Davis Mills step up, and then Bryan Bresee helps clean it up with him. Wow, huge crack on the quarterback, and I think that's going to scare a lot of defenses seeing these two guys come after you. And you also had Bryan Bresee making some plays with Peyton Turner last last week against the Chargers. He recovered that fumble, and he looks healthy. That was the biggest concern for this guy coming out of the draft. Is he going to be healthy? Is he still banged up? Is he going to be ready to go? And based on his performance in preseason, I think this guy looks plenty healthy. Look at this amazing spin move on the left guard. I mean, this guard got hurt after this. A crazy spin move, getting after the quarterback, and look at the guard grab his arm right there. It made me wonder, what the hell did Bryan Bresee do to you? But you're seeing the insane athleticism for the guy, 21 years old, about to be 22, 6'5", 305 pounds with a 4.8 40 time. That's insane. That's the speed of some quarterbacks in the NFL. And he had to bounce back from an ACL tear, but he's proven that his physical traits are for real, and he's developing as a defensive tackle. And it's not just in preseason. You saw him against the Chargers in joint practices against their first team, making an amazing move on these two O-linemen. They tried to stop him, and he grabs the running back Eckler, and if you take a look at it here, he's able just to swim right through these two offensive linemen. It's 2-on-1, and they can't handle Bryan Bresee, and he wraps up the little running back. And going back to that strip sack from last week, you actually had Peyton Turner, the one to deliver the initial sack. And Peyton Turner is a former first-round pick who never came to fruition for the New Orleans Saints, but maybe he could do it this year. And when you're looking at this defensive line, you're looking at the fact that you got Bryan Bresee as a backup, the first-round pick. He's going to be able to rotate with these two defensive tackles, and he's going to create a huge burst, especially in the passing game. And then you also have Peyton Turner, a former first-round pick who seems to be rising in stock, seems to be bouncing back from injuries and not playing, and he's making a splash. He's somebody who could rotate. You already have Granderson, who's been stable for the Saints for some time, and then you got Foskey, also the second-round pick, who we saw make some plays against the Texans with Bryan Bresee. And I didn't even get started about Malcolm Roach, who's been making some great plays at defensive tackle and has been even hyping up his teammate Bryan Bresee.
Just a few days ago, his cat-like quickness, he's able to jump off the ball. For him being so big, it's a sight to see. It's really a sight to see, and he has been blessed with the God-given ability to be that quick at that size, and the sky's the limit for him, for real. Man, I'm glad he on our team.
And so that's what's so crazy about the Saints. As we came into this season, we thought Bryan Bresee would be a developmental project. We thought Peyton Turner might not be able to bounce back, and we also thought Foskey might be a project as well. But all these guys seem like they can contribute in the regular season, and now you have two layers of a defensive line that can be very productive in the NFL. And I think this team is going to have an insane, healthy rotation, despite the fact that it's a lot of new guys around Cam Jordan, around Granderson. I think this could quite possibly be an even better defensive line than last year. And I think the rest of the NFL is going to regret sleeping on Bryan Bresee, and he's going to end up being an absolute steal at freaking pick number 30. The first game is right around the corner. Let me know how well you think the New Orleans Saints are going to do against the Tennessee Titans. And I want to see some sack prediction comments below for Bryan Bresee. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.